Good evening, everybody. Welcome to our weekly podcast for LongLiveJunto. It's great to be back. It's nice to be back with you fellows this week, even though we can't be in person. But it's always fantastic when we can get together and I can see you guys, even if it needs to be like on FaceTime or Discord or whatever it is. So um, I'm glad it's the end of the week. Glad we can get together and we can talk about some stuff and we can make some comments. Let's begin our stream here. Let's go around and let's hear about how everybody's week is. I'll go ahead and start ourselves off, but after myself, I'm gonna pass it off to Nightmare to hear. But being that today's a Thursday, we obviously we usually do it on Fridays, but it's still been a long week. It's kind of felt like it's felt like a 10-day week already, even though we're not over with. I still got to go through a full Friday, but I'm glad that it's going to be the weekend soon because good Lord knows I need it. It's just been stressful with like work, trying to figure stuff out for the future going forward, and trying to figure out like what summertime and even like the fall. Even though we're only in end of March here, trying to figure out what the hell is going to happen in the fall for myself has kind of been like weighing on me a lot, and having to make some big boy decisions and see what's going to come about. But yeah, so even though it hasn't been a long week so far. We haven't gone there yet. It's still felt like it's been a lot. So, but Nightmare, how about you? How's your week going so far on a Thursday night?
It's been a good week. Kind of slow at work. I'm actually taking Friday off. I'm going on like a mini vacation. Going to see my aunt and my buddy. We're probably gonna go shoot some guns. Maybe have some content for you guys. That'd be cool. Pop off a few rounds. Get relaxed. Yeah. So it's kind of gonna be a long weekend for me. I'm kind of really looking forward to it actually. Haven't seen my aunt in over a year at least since COVID. So that's gonna be good to see some family and kind of get away from a lot of stuff for a little bit. I even took Monday off, so it's a nice long week, nice long weekend. So that's what's going on with me. Just work, trying to eat better. It's a never-ending struggle to eat good, eat well, healthier. So yeah, I'm gonna pass it over to Goichi here. How's your week been, bud?
Thanks, man. My week's been going pretty well. Can't complain. Still have a job. Working hard, hustling, trying to make things happen. I'm actually going to be taking time off as well for a week. So I'm talking to all you guys. But yeah, I think I'm just taking time off. I'm in sales and I had a good quarter. So I'm just trying to take some time off. And I think it doesn't matter, what type of job you have. I think everyone just needs to recharge their batteries, even if you're like staying at home taking care of the kids. I think it's good for everyone to kind of just take a break from reality and just release and kind of just take a break, whether you're going up to the mountains or just going somewhere that's not your home. I think just having a change of environment, change of atmosphere is good for everybody. So that's what I'm looking forward to, is just taking a break with the wife, going to travel and have some fun and hang out with some friends and come back recharged and get back to the hustle. But yeah, can't complain. My week's been going pretty great. Yeah. So I'm going to hand it off to Beef.
I don't know about you guys. Did like the whole daylight is still messing with me?
Oh yeah.
Oh, absolutely.
I love it.
Yeah, it's like I love this time period, but man, I think like last week was, and then we have my wife and I have a new pup that the group knows, and we do interval where when he goes to bed, we only do, I think, 3 hours. So every 3 hours we pee and poop him. And man, it's so we're up in the middle of the night. So we haven't felt like we actually have slept in a long time. So we can't wait until he's 6 months. But it almost makes us like feel like zombie like throughout the week. But yeah, I think for the most part it was a good week. I got to see some family. I wasn't feeling well. I had a cold. Pretty much part of the weekend, over the weekend, and then I started feeling better, like just bad throat ache, and then I got tested for COVID, which was negative, and I always forget to look up on this, but for the most part, yeah. Other than that, I would say it's been pretty good. We're doing. So I don't have any vacation coming up anytime soon. I think in the next month I do, but we're gonna go fishing. Guichi and Nightmare and I will be going fishing next Friday. We'll be doing some live streaming of that fishing, so hopefully you guys can kind of join us. We're really looking forward to that because I haven't fished in God knows when. I think it's been at least 10 years. So, but I snowboarded earlier this year, and that was about 10 years ago. So, and that was really rough. I realized I couldn't even get my body up off the board anymore because I've got a nice pouch going in my stomach area. But yeah, it's been a good week.
It's that COVID-19.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, seriously.
COVID 250.
Yeah.
And add a
my God.
wife on top of that. So, I mean, it's a double whammy when you're putting on weight like that. So, I should know.
Yeah, eating. Speaking off of what Nightmare said, man, eating. That's where we've been. I've been taking more like what's it called, probiotics. And man, it's been helping like just with like overall feeling better. I swear, eating. If you eat right, your mind feels a lot better.
Yeah. Your energy level's better too usually. So.
Yeah, it's just like crazy because the moment I eat like something nasty, it's like the next day. It's almost like having a beer. For me now, if I drink like a beer or have a couple beers, the next day I feel like I don't feel too good, or I feel like I'm like a little off, and I don't feel. And it's like that's how food. I mean, I'll still eat it, but that's how food is. I mean,
that's scary because after a few beers, I feel just right.
Yeah, in the moment I feel good, but man,
the day after
is like I can't believe it. It's crazy because I was like, you take when you're a kid for granted, you know, where you're like, oh man, I could do like 10 beers, and it's like. You like after a couple hours you feel kind of better and you're just like I don't have to worry about it.
I was just thinking about that growing old, like when you're a kid or even in your mid-20s, like you get hurt and you're like, oh, this is fine, I'll recover from.
Yeah.
Now I'm like, I get hurt and I'm like, the pain hasn't gone away or it gets worse.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh shit.
Like fourth day in and it's still hurting.
Yeah,
like
man, it's like the worst. And like you're trying to figure out what's wrong with you,
Yeah.
And you're just getting old. That's the answer.
This isn't going away.
Yeah.
When you said a kid and you take 10 beers, I thought of someone that was like 11 years old.
Oh, it's just going hard.
Yeah, I was a kid and I had like 10 beers. I was like,
that's a Cotty, man.
Dude, or Edward 40 hands. Like, man,
oh my God.
Those were the days. I can't even hang anymore.
Edward 40 hands. Oh my God.
I'm pretty sure like if I sleep wrong, I wake up and my arms are in pain. Like I've slept wrong and I couldn't raise my right arm for probably like 3 days without crying. I was like, this really sucks putting on and taking off a shirt. And I was like, I mean, it made wiping difficult. I mean, it really just hampered my lifestyle. Like,
or how about when you like go over to a family get together and you're playing with like your young niece and nephews and you're like, shit, I lasted 5 minutes. Now I'm sucking air.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, that's like the worst, man.
They're all crawling on top of you. You're like, I can't carry you anymore. My back.
It makes me worried because then, like, when I have kids, like, how the hell am I going to survive? Like, I'm okay being the uncle and then leaving them,
You're gonna get that dad bod.
Oh man, I'm so
up.
screwed. I'm so screwed.
Yeah.
Here's something to kind of go off the whole how the weeks thing are going, because since you guys are. I mean, I can't really complain all too much since I took a vacation recently to come back home for spring break and to see you hooligans and hang out with you guys and get to enjoy like California sunshine. And now you guys are going fishing, and then like Nightmare's going shooting, and Goichi, you're going away with your wife. Like so here's a little side question: when was the last time? Maybe it's recent, but when was the last time like that you guys actually went on a vacation, like an actual vacation?
That's funny.
And not just like a 1-2 day like getaway, but like I wouldn't say like week has to be the standard, but like an actual like thing where like, hey, we're going to like Hawaii, or we're going to like Montana, or like wherever it's going to be. Like, it's a time for you to get away and like actually like enjoy to travel, or just go somewhere, not just like, hey, I'm going to take one day off from work to, like reset my mind or get away from end of the quarter meetings or some bullshit like that.
I'll take the first one if you guys are all right.
Yeah.
I don't remember the last time I went, but the last one that I vividly remember was going to the Grand Canyon with
that's a while ago.
Beef. Yeah.
We talking years? Like it's been a couple of years?
Probably. And I mean, I went to Arizona for Thanksgiving the year before COVID, and that was a vacation. We got my Hannah mom in the chat.
Oh, nice.
So 6 years for her. And she said she feels good after a couple margaritas. And
That's all it takes, huh?
I'm just gonna
Tequila
just gonna jump in
does
chat
fine,
real
right?
quick. Yeah, and then she's shaming us for feeling like our bodies are falling apart already. We went hard.
It's a California age, man.
Yeah.
We get older.
Yeah.
That sun ages us.
Yeah. So I'd say the most vivid ones was Grand Canyon, and then Arizona for Thanksgiving for me.
I'll go next.
Yes.
So for me, it's funny you say that, Coach. For us, this was like this upcoming vacation we're taking. It's actually a real vacation where we're leaving out of town and like we're getting away from our home. It's not a home staycation where we're doing chores and catching up on things. So it's funny because I said that to my wife earlier today. We're actually taking a real vacation since the pandemic. The last time we went on a real vacation was probably back in 2019, like everyone else, before the pandemic, and it was in Hawaii. Since our family is from Oahu, that was our last vacation. I feel like that's the only vacation I take nowadays. Because when you think about most jobs, you get an average of what, 2 to 4 weeks at most if you're lucky throughout the year. So we usually use those 2 weeks to go visit her family in Hawaii, and it's a great excuse for me to go to Hawaii in the first place. So that's usually our go-to. Otherwise, I'd be trying to go up to Mammoth and go fishing. That's like my go-to every year is going to Mammoth with the family and going fishing. So, but it's funny because usually I'm the only one waking up early going to the lakes. So it's kind of like my own personal vacation at times. But yeah.
Quick question. I don't want to say too much. Have you abandoned your Hawaii trip?
My Hawaiian trip?
Yeah.
For this year we've abandoned it just because of like protocol and everything like that. Like I guess if you get tested 2 days prior, then you can go and travel and you don't have a 14-day quarantine. But my thought is like traveling to some place like Hawaii, I want to live it to the fullest, and to go there and see most of the things shut down or restrictions on like public areas. I mean, that's a huge bummer. And that's kind of like the theme for us is like we had a wedding plan. It's been postponed continuously, and we're supposed to have a wedding coming up soon in the next couple months. But the whole reason why my wife and I planned that wedding is, one, her family and friends are out there, right? It's easy. But the other thing is like all my family's from the mainland in Southern California. And I wanted the people, my close friends and family who've never been to Hawaii, which is a majority of the people, to really get that experience that I got when I first went to Hawaii. And it's just that whole island vibe and feel. And I feel like the pandemic has kind of taken that away. So we just don't want to plan a Hawaii trip until it's like worth our while, you know, because it is an investment when you travel, it's expensive. So for us, it's like, just right now, it just doesn't make sense to travel out to Hawaii. So
Understandable.
yeah. And I mean, there's so many possibilities of, you know, catching COVID too, if like you're traveling that much. So, okay. So I'll hand it over to Beef.
Yeah, so you brought up Mammoth. That was my wife and I did that during COVID, when everybody was so afraid, or like most people here were afraid to go outside. And I was like, man, I need to get the hell out of this apartment. Our apartment feels like, you know, it's so small. It's only like a certain amount of square feet, so it feels like a prison cell when you're in it. And both of us work every day from, you know, remotely, and like we talked about in our last live session. And you just, when you're there, it almost like the days blend together. And I told her, I was like, I needed this. I didn't really care. And so we went to Mammoth, and man, it was so nice. Like surprisingly, it was overloaded. Despite, so there's a lot of people that felt the same way, despite that not getting maybe on the social media. And then we did a lot of hiking. We did Heart Lake. We did Rainbow Falls, which you can, if you guys ever want to check it out, I have that on our YouTube channel too. It's pretty good views. Also on our TikTok channel, check it out. But pretty good shots. Just being out there. I mean, like when you're able. The irony is like being out there. I was like, man, you with COVID, I feel like as a society have gotten less and less like wanting to talk to our strangers, And then when I'm out there, I was like, you saw all these people, and I was like, I still didn't want to see them. I just wanted to be in nature for a little bit. But nature, man, like what you said about fishing out in Mammoth, it's like how it recalibrates your mind. Like that's how hiking is for me. I feel, I always feel like we deprive as humans, we deprive our natural being and surroundings, our nature, and we have learned that this is comfort is being in a home. And it's really not. That's the most unnatural thing, And it's and I think like as you're kind of going through that. For me, like when I'm out in nature, like it's just I reset and then everything feels good. I think Nightmare had something to say.
Yeah, I was just gonna say question from the chat. Birthday getaways. Any recommendations from you guys? Question from the chat.
Birthday getaways.
Yeah.
If you've ever been to I don't know, as a person a hiker, because I would recommend. I also have this on our YouTube channel. You can check it out. It's a video where we went to a place called Havasupai Falls, and if you look it up, it's called Havasu Falls for short. But Havasupai, and it's pretty much the entry level of the entry of the Grand Canyon. And if you look it up, it's literally like paradise, but you can actually drive there. You don't have to worry about quarantine or flying, depending on where you're living.
They're not hiking.
They're not hiking. Yeah. There's a helicopter that takes you there, but you can check it. I'd say Havasu Falls. Like, I don't know. It's hard with COVID right now.
I feel like a lot of people talk about Cancun, especially even during pandemic. So, I mean, don't they call like Ted Cruz like Ted Cancun or something like that too? So I hear a lot of people talk about Cancun. That seems like a pretty awesome place for a birthday. But if you're on a budget and once this pandemic is like cleared and everyone's safe, I would highly recommend a cruise ship. Either especially out here, I think you have the option of like Alaska, but like if you're young and you're on a really tight budget, Ensenada cruise is pretty fun because like you can travel with your friends, get drunk, have a good time, and most of the stuff is already paid besides like you gotta buy alcohol or pay for a soda card and stuff like that. But I mean, you have a great time on the ship, and then you can dock and have more fun like papas and beer and stuff with your friends, and it's relatively a lot cheaper than like going somewhere even like Vegas and paying for like bar tabs out there. Because I mean, you get $2 beers off the dock,
Yeah, that stretch on that TJ stretch.
Yeah,
it's like Rosarito, Ensenada, Puerto
Vallarta.
Yeah, that
Puerto
one. Yeah, because they're known for like,
Vallarta.
and the food there.
Yeah,
it's cheap food. You just have to worry about
you could blow up pumpkins, with illegal fireworks.
Yeah,
I mean, it sounds like a blast to me for a birthday party. So, and it is cheap to go on that cruise. So. But yeah, I would be concerned about the COVID thing though, because if something happens on the ship, like you're stuck on the ship. That
was like a thing, wasn't it?
It was when it first started. Yeah, so that's a bit scary, but it is fun. I would say that.
Also during this border crisis, I don't know if.
Well, the sales guy.
You're driving through the.
Yeah.
With what's going on right now.
That's true.
Yeah.
But why does my suitcase weigh so much?
Yeah.
Well, like the sales guy and me too. When we docked off, and they have like a little marketplace there. With like all these small vendors, dude, the sales guy and me came out, and I just haggled with everyone on deals and getting ponchos. Like I'd get what they were trying to charge me $30 for a poncho. I got it for like $10.
Yeah,
because I just carried a wad of cash, but it was all $1 bills. So when, I put the $1 bills in my wallet, and I put all my big bills in my pocket or in my sock, and I just kept it there. So whenever I knew I wanted to buy something, ask them how much. I would usually already know the price going in, but I would still play dumb and ask them how much, and they'd say like 30, and I'd open my wallet and count the money. I'm like, shoot, I only have 10, and I'd walk away, and they say, okay, 10's fine.
Yeah. Okay,
so, tip to you guys, chat, okay? If you go to Ensenada, you can always haggle pricing. And my other tip is don't drink their water unless it's bottled up, and don't use their ice, okay?
Yeah. So a couple segments that we're going to talk about today, where we are going to kind of break down individually and discuss just a little bit of what our logo is and like what it means to us. We obviously, if you look at the logo, we've got a bunch of different animals on there. We got different things that mean something to somebody, and we're going to talk about our Junto question of the week, as well as get everyone's take on the blockbuster hit Velocipastor, which if you haven't watched is definitely worth the hour and 10 minutes. But I'm going to go ahead and I want to get Goichi's take on his logo, an animal his animal that he chose for our logo and what it means to him, real quick.
So, initially for me, my spirit animal is technically a sea otter, but as far as a appealing looking animal or something that kind of fit in with everyone's logo, my second option was a squid, and I guess I just chose that because I love the ocean. I feel like I was always born a fish out of water, or in my past lives I may have been some type of sea animal. But I think squids are pretty awesome. They're swift in the ocean, and they have multiple tentacles, and I think that's cool because one, I'm Japanese, so I think some people can relate to the porn industry in Japan with tentacles. But the other cool thing is, like, I'm a multitasker.
Wow.
I don't know if I'm good.
Explain that?
I know we're still a mature audience here, but
Jesus,
I don't feel like
are you going on?
It's in my heritage. It's in my blood. I can't do anything about it. Okay, I'm Japanese American. I'm cursed. So, anyways, also I see it as, like, anytime there's like a squid or octopus on a movie, like, they're always like the multitasker, and I feel like I'm a huge multitasker. I may not be good at it, but I do it a lot. My wife can vouch for that. When I'm not listening and I'm multitasking and I think I can listen. So yeah, that's kind of why I picked it. Yeah, I think it's plus it looks cool at the top of our logo. And that's pretty much it. Oh, and Rocket Power. They call the guy Squid from Rocket Power. He's a goalie, and he's kind of like the black sheep of the group. And I wouldn't say I'm like the black sheep of the group, but at times, like, there's certain things that I'm just like, I'm not in sync with the guys in the Junto group with, like, movie references and jokes, and so I think at times I could be Squid. And I love playing goalie too in hockey.
We still love you.
Yeah, you're still one of us.
I'm trying to fit in.
How about for yourself, Beef? What's your part of the logo, and why did you choose it? What does it mean to you?
So I think mine was a hawk and a falcon. Wasn't my first choice, Coach, but it was definitely my second choice. When I looked up, so I was like looking up animals, and like I do a lot of hiking, so nature wise, like I'm a big Chicago Bears fan. Just how a bear works, like how it works with its young, and like if you read about bears and the way they are with family and how they protect family, it's always been a big thing to me, and how not necessarily the size or reference to the physical features, but that's always been a big thing to me. Bears also got the personality that it doesn't want to fight, but if you put it in if you come at it, it will take you on. And bears never are aggressors. They're typically, you have to set them off. So if you ever watch like any shows on it, so but since that was my first choice and my second choice was chosen, the falcon. When I was looking up the code of ethics and the meaning. So if you guys take a look at our crest, is old school, like knights. If you look at, like, every castle had its coat of arms, right, and it had its crest. And a lot of the times, like, families would base, they would design it based on, like, their attributes or whatever they stood for. So if they were by the sea, you'd see a lot of sea references. If they were wooded and so on. And so for us, that's why we kind of went through the choice of doing animals, because a lot of animals are on crests. And the one that I liked because of its meaning was a falcon and hawk. And really what that is the meaning behind that is the person goes full force and goes 100% and sees it through, and that's kind of the way I am as a person. I don't really see anything else other than, like, when I'm given something or I need to do something, I make it my own and I go 100% at it until I kill it. And I've always been that way with like, not only like tasks but just work and relatable stuff in life. And like, if you do something, you do it well and do the best you can. And so that's why it's meant a lot to me. So I'll pass it back to you, Coach.
Nice.
I want to hear about your spirit animal.
Yeah. So the one that was that I was allowed to have was actually Beef's first choice with the bear. I don't know. Bears kind of always been like my favorite animal for many of the same reasons that beef just laid out. Uh, no, bears are very protective. Um, I mean, without having gone up and like met a bear in the wild and talked with the bear about what its attitude's like, it's generally seen as something that uh, you know it protects. It gets aggressive when it protects and when it's provoked. And I've always seen myself in the same light with my friends and my family. And I mean, I'm hairy like a bear. I like to eat a lot of food and go take long naps like a bear. So I figure that stuff also kind of plays in a little bit. Um,
Shit,
but
yes, I'm a bear.
yeah, we can. That elusive Japanese Asian bear.
A panda bear.
They're called
But,
pandas.
Oh, they're called
Oh man.
Forgot that was a thing. But I mean, beef and Goichi and Nightmare. You guess we can all be like brother bears, like that movie, like the animated movie that came
There
out.
are
We can all
different types of bears. I'll just say
The bear's
that.
necessities.
yeah, we we can be like the three big bears or something. But Nightmare, I want to hear about your choice for your animal and what is the media why choose.
The 4 bear materials. For my on the crest, I am the stag, and I did look up coat of arms animals and their meanings, and it's really upsetting me because the stag literally says one who will not fight unless provoked, and that and hearing the bear comparison is really kind of throwing me through a loop now because I'm like but it also says peace and harmony and strength and fortitude, and I feel like that's really what how I've lived my life. Is like I'm not confrontational. I'm very peaceful. I definitely try and see a different way than in fighting if I don't have to, and through that harmony, I do find that there's strength in that, and that I feel like people close to me appreciate that. So that's why I chose the stag to be my animal, my spirit animal.
Very nice.
Yeah.
Now I want to get to something for Nightmare at least before he forgets about this if he hasn't already. But our Junto question of the week, it's posted on Instagram. We try and get it out on our personal pages, but also our Junto page as well. But our question of the week, and this is how originally written. This is how it is, and then I'll kind of explain a little bit more, give it a little bit briefer detail here. But lately, have you seen lately any observed any defect in the laws of which it would be proper to move the legislation or into legislation and make an amendment, or do you know of any beneficial law that is wanting? So essentially, we're gonna have Nightmare kick it off here, but any laws or anything that you see that there's a glaring defect or anything that we do that you think that we would need that's missing from society right now.
All right. So I was thinking about this, and it is not that it's already a part of the Bill of Rights, but I don't think that it is being upheld, and it is the right to a speedy trial. We as Americans have the right to a speedy trial, and that is, I feel like that's been taken subjectively with the government and the court systems, and with how the bail system works. And if you can't make bail, you're put in jail until your court case, and sometimes it could be months, could be half a year until you're in front of a judge, and you're just in jail. When as an innocent person, you have the presumption of innocence, and you're just hanging out in jail while you're waiting for your case to be heard. I feel like that is a gross overstep, and I think the reason that is because we have such a big, relatively huge population here, and there's a lot of crime going on, and I feel like that there should be a faster way to get people in and out of the court and say, all right, what do we like? We have to go through every bit of litigation. Lawyers will litigate any minor part of a case to keep you in jail or to get you out, and it just becomes a big fight, and every little piece of evidence is, I mean, as it should be looked over, but to keep someone in prison that's presumed innocent is, I feel like that's wrong, and every case is different, right? Because if you have someone that's a serial offender, then yeah, maybe we should hold you and keep you under wraps. But if you have someone that's not had a lot of crime, like not a big record, and it's for something that's out of character of them, and they're of course they're going to claim they're innocent, then I don't feel like they should be sitting in jail for months on end, weeks on end. We should be able to get them in front of a judge, say, look, what are we doing here? Is there enough evidence to keep me in jail until my hearing? And if there's not, then we let them go on. There's got to be. We have so much technology now. How can we not stop someone from running? How do we stop someone from committing more crimes after, if they are guilty? How do we stop them from committing more crimes while they're waiting a trial? There's got. It feels like a bad commercial. There's got to be a better way.
Right.
There's got to be something we can do in legally to uphold the right to a speedy trial and not hold someone indefinitely until some court can hear their case. That's my answer to a Junto question.
I'll even back that up, because like, as someone who's been on a jury, like I've only had jury duty once, knock on wood. But the one time I had jury duty, I actually got put on. I was actually in the jury there for the trial, and it's like the crime that they were like trying to figure this like crap out for was like taken place at least 12 years prior to when I had to do it. It's like they'd been literally going back and forth for 12 years. Like, granted, the person wasn't she wasn't in custody or in jail or anything, but it was literally them like trying to keep retrying the same shit over and over again, and like from different like points of view. And like then like this was literally like their Hail Mary, their last thing to like get her on something, and then it didn't add up. It was such bullshit. It was like they shouldn't even have been allowed to like for them to come back in the way they did, because I was like, dude, they literally tried the same evidence like a bunch of different times or something. It was just like, this is clearly like crap and a waste of everyone's like taxpayer money and just time. I was like, this is a waste of my time. I could have been working today. So
that's another one. Is appeals. Like once you're ruled guilty, and actually me and Beef were talking about To Make a Murderer. Once you're ruled guilty the first time, the appeals process is so painful, even when it's obvious that there was a decision made that was wrong with the introduction of new evidence. Because you have to, not only do you have to prove that what you did, that you weren't the one that did it, you have to prove that, you have to present someone else, another suspect. Like that, it should be, I didn't do it. Here's the evidence that I didn't do it. Let me go. Like, and then you
go do your job and find out who did it. And then
the state can keep, and then the state or the feds can keep appealing that. It's just a back and forth. Like, they really want, once the ruling is made, they want to keep you in jail, even no matter what evidence comes forward.
Right.
We want, because they don't want to look. I think it's because they don't want to look bad. They don't want to look like they don't want to look bad, and then they don't want to pay out the wrongful conviction lawsuit that's inevitable.
The whole
I'm gonna pass it over.
Yeah, the whole thing that you were talking about, Coach, was the jury picking. I've been part of that too. And what I find funny is, have you guys been out on the? I haven't served on a jury, but I've gone to jury duty. Oh, did you go into a courtroom?
Yes.
Have you been in a court?
I've lived through a 10-year divorce of my parents, so I'll say our court systems are flawed, and I totally understand where all you guys are coming from. It came to the point, long story short, it came to the point where not only did my brother and I were old enough to be adults and not be part of it, but since my sister was underage, they hired a lawyer for her, for my dad, and for my mom. And it came to a point after like several years of my parents going through divorce for me to attend the court and see what's going on, to be the mediator between my parents behind the scenes, because the court wasn't doing anything other than sucking the life and money out of my parents and my family.
Yeah, it's a business.
Yeah, at the end of the day, I realized, you know what? None of us are going to walk away here surviving, like, through the courts if we keep at this rate. So one of my parents had to give in, you know, and just settle. And it was just disgusting, because every time I went to the court, one of the lawyers, one out of the 3 freaking lawyers, would not show up or would find an excuse to postpone and then prolong the divorce case. So it's
like working on our government, right?
Yeah.
Like, our government purposely stalls things out. Mm-hmm. They spend their budget,
yep.
And there's no incentive to push it faster. So it's really a business to them.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. What do they care about us?
Yeah, it's like
it's free money, and it's taxpayer money. Like,
yeah.
Talking about the government.
Yeah.
Not individual personal lawyers, but the government runs on taxpayer dollars. And if the government is prosecuting you, their DA is getting paid, I assume, by taxpayer money.
Yeah.
And your personal lawyer is getting paid hourly to represent you, to go over evidence, and the DA is going over evidence. Mm-hmm. And you just sit up in a jail cell with actual criminals, or you're in $500,000, worth of bail debt.
Mm-hmm.
And it's funny, the people who are like causing these issues in court or causing the delays, mainly lawyers and other political people, but it's funny because there's no repercussions for them like abusing that power.
Yeah, it's a safety net.
It's ridiculous.
Completely. Yeah. Because I was going to say about, because Spencer brought up the jury duty, is I went in and I said, like, I had a kid that he got a DUI and he hit someone and killed him.
Oh, okay.
And I was straightforward and I said the kid was there. And what I found really horrible about this system was they interview you, right, to see if you have any prejudice or not. But essentially, the jury, the lawyers, the district attorney, or the defending attorney are able to craft the jury based on who they think will vote their way before a case is even done. Like, you're just told, like, hey, this person did this crime, and you're getting interviewed. And I get that they're trying to remove prejudice, but they took it to an extreme where, like, I can shape whoever I want based on, like, so what I said, and it ended up kind of screwing me because the judge knew I was a smart ass, is I said that anyone that drinks and drives is a piece of shit. And I looked at the guy when I said it, and I looked at the kid straight, and then the kid, like, looked down, and it's like, I there's not a part of me that feels bad because he took someone's life, but in my mind I did it so I got kicked off for the bias, and then they forced me to come back for another 8 hours after that.
Oh.
Yeah, it was at 4:00 and I was about to be done, and I was like, that. So it teaches you, don't be a smartass with the system, but yeah, I'm with you on that. Like, I think no one ever talks about that. That you just brought that at the speedy trial, so I think that's a good one for sure.
Yeah, that was definitely my jury trial. I had a guy got out so fast because literally they said, do you have any like prejudices or anything? And the guy just goes, I am racist. And like, like, that's all he said. He just said it straight up, and he looked at the attorney, like, right in the eye when he said that. And the judge, she was like a pretty chill lady. She was just like, she kind of like laughed, but it was like, the guy literally said that, and then like, oh, like, who's the first people that you want to go? And literally both the lawyers just said number 9 or like whatever it was. Like, that guy is like, I was like, dude, I gotta take a page out of that guy's book. But it sucked because I got put on reserve, and then, like, basically like, oh, when we kick these 3 people off, you get, like, put in there and you can't get taken out. I was like, son of a bitch, like.
That's what I feel like when he brings up, like, Bill of Rights and stuff, like, those are things that shouldn't get really touched. But I'm gonna take an extreme one. I don't know if he went to the bathroom or not.
He had a call.
Oh, he had a call.
Maybe we had a hot date.
So I'm gonna go. Hopefully he'll jump in. So I think something that's illegal, that I think is really unfair and causes way more damage than than what the law was intended for is prostitution. I think prostitution needs to be legalized federally and statewide on every state. And I'll explain. I'll use. I want to say before I go into this, I did a whole report on this. And there's a famous lawyer, and I think she had her own TV show named Gloria Allred. I don't know if you guys are familiar with her. She's actually an advocate for getting rid of prostitution. And so when I grew up, I am Catholic, and my college professor was Catholic as well. And she said by the time she got the end of this paper, I made her rethink how to look at the ethical distinction of like what making prostitution illegal does to people. And so here's my take on it is that, and I don't have the numbers, the percentages, but what I did is I used Vegas, it's illegal in the city lines of Vegas, and this is from memory. I think it's still this way, but Nevada is legal. But once you go into the city lines of Vegas, it's illegal for prostitution, which obviously it's still, regardless. So like any crime that's considered a crime is why something's considered a crime is our law says it's a crime, right? So like you could do anything, like you could go over the speed limit. You just broke the law. It's a crime, right? So it's like crime in my mind. Like when you look at what prostitution's done, is most women that have to stem to going to prostitution, most of the time don't have a choice, or they're put in a terrible financial situation where they have a child and they're working multiple jobs. I think it was over 80% of prostitutes have 2 to 3 jobs. So that goes to show you that them just working a normal life. I think this is all memory, but over 60% have, it was around 60 or over 60, have at least one child. So now, and they're single moms on top of it. So you've got a single mom working multiple jobs, and the system, they can't survive in the system. And everybody's got, everyone's like, me being Catholic, my parents would say like, oh, well, they could always find another job, like dignity wise, and plays into it. But the reality is that they're going to do it regardless whether it's legal or not. And so when you look at prostitution as a whole, you're essentially saying, no, hey, if the cops in the same justice system we were talking about can go after prostitutes, you're now putting these vulnerable women who are single moms, who should be taking care of their children, working 3 jobs and still paying taxation, and they're just doing what they can to survive. Yeah. Now they have a pimp, right? Mm-hmm. You put them under that. The second thing is if I am a man that engages with a prostitute and I know it's illegal, they are not protected by any mean or forms. If you think about the scenario in a bedroom with a man, they can do the most horrible things to these women or men, vice versa, and they're subjected to the discretion of their customers. The customers, because it's illegal, don't get vetted out. STIs or STDs, whatever they call it now, are not being really looked at. You can actually make a claim that STIs will go down because you're going to see a lot. If we legalize it, you can put as a government. You can put as not government agency. You can agent. It can be in agencies. You can have agencies that specialize in it as escort services. You can have it get taxed, so it helps the government. And then essentially these women are protected. They're literally, they can have security around that. The men are screened, or women are screened that use the services. So ultimately for me, I think it's really unlawful that prostitution is illegal, not because from a moral standpoint or what I believe in that, but from what the reality is that regardless, one way or another, it's going to take place, and you're the only people you're really hurting when you're making prostitution illegal. Essentially, are these women that are in hard times, and I'm 100% against that. Like I'm
pretty sure your theory's been proven somewhere in the EU where it's legal, where they even have like stop and go booths
Amsterdam.
You got the red light district.
They even give you condoms in that booth, like when you hire a prostitute and do your thing in these booths that are public.
Well, it's a freedom issue too. Like that's a victim. Let me just grab this real quick. That's in the ideal scenario. That's a victimless crime. Like the idea of a man going to a woman that's willing to accept money for sex. Now the outside stuff, the outside factors of a pimp, drug use, etc. I feel like that's why it's illegal. But the freedom issue,
I think because it's illegal.
Yeah.
Because it's illegal, it creates that scenario.
definitely, I am on your side. Like,
it creates that pimps take advantage because they need protection. And then if it was legal, they wouldn't need a pimp. They'd have true security.
Yeah.
That you'd have like, I mean, honestly, like we would apply to those jobs because you want to protect those people, but you're allowing. If it's unlawful, you're now allowing these people to protect them. Protect, and it's like they don't have to follow. They already know what they're doing. They have the advantage on the lady where I know you're doing something illegal, so I can hit you if I want.
Plus, if it's illegal too, you're only going to get the baddest people of that.
Yeah,
group.
exactly. Yeah, it's like that's another good point. Like people that are lawful and abiding, you might get a lot. That's another good argument. If there are law-abiding citizens, and they saw it, they'd be more comfortable, and you're not getting. Again, I think what's cool about it is you can price it like how we price probably like things like marijuana, right? If you want crappy marijuana, it's like a prostitute. You want a crappy prostitute, you gotta pay $5. But if you want
quality over quantity,
yeah, exactly.
Well, that's the OnlyFans.
They would have like Yelp reviews.
Yeah.
But like,
well, that's where you like. Where do you draw the line?
Yeah,
what you're going to talk about.
But that's basically OnlyFans. It proved that.
I mean, pretty much.
Law-abiding citizens making a conscious choice, whether we agree with it or not morally, but they have the ability to make the conscious choice to sell their bodies, and in a sterile environment, one man pays for the services of one woman. That is a victimless crime.
Yeah,
and vice versa too. Like. Woman that pays for the services of a man.
Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, look at Deuce Bigelow. He did it.
Yeah.
That's a big...
Rest in peace, Rob Schneider.
Yeah.
I heard he's a carrot.
Yeah.
Rob Schneider is a rated
PG-13. I think that those are like all very good points. I think like the fact that we tackled like parts of the Bill of Rights is actually pretty important because I think we could probably say like for the most part, like the Bill of Rights is coming under attack, especially nowadays. And I think that's definitely a problem. That's like that people are willingly asking the government to take their own given rights away from them, and like they're asking to be less free while claiming that they're not free. That's just my hot take on that. But I wanted to kind of transition into our first time doing this segment. Experts versus amateurs.
Did I miss Garrett's?
No, I'm okay. Okay.
Oh, sorry. Do you have one you want to?
Well, I kind of chimed in with you guys about the court system being slow. I'm like totally on board with that. I mean, at the end of the day, it's flawed, right? How do we improve it
federally with marijuana?
So my take with marijuana in general is legalize it for all.
We kind of all assumed that Garrett would.
Look, we talk about world peace all the time, and what's going to create that. Obviously, music doesn't bring us all together. It's proven that it hasn't done that. But I promise you, if we can come together as one and we can legalize marijuana, and maybe have a party with some shrooms on the weekend, I think the world would be a better place, and we can communicate a lot better, and we respect one another, and we'd be on the same level in a sense. So I think everyone needs to get on board with, legalizing marijuana and sing Kumbaya. And that's pretty much it.
Just one giant hot box under a huge tent.
And that's the victimless crime thing that, Andrew, like, I think, like, if you really just assess, like, every type of crime, I mean, you do prostitution, you really go across the board in a lot of things where you're like...
Gun ownership?
Yeah, gun ownership. It's, like, a lot of things where it's, like, if this doesn't impact, and it's, there's two parties and they're okay with it, there's one party and they're doing whatever they want, like a lot of people are like suicide is technically illegal, right? And it's like, why is that illegal? Like, I think
I have an answer for that.
Yeah.
So suicide's illegal because it gives police the right to enter your home and stop you from doing it, to save your life.
But again.
But why is it their choice to save
your life?
Exactly.
It's not their choice. It's not the government's choice to tell me this is my life, I live it, and it's my liberty to choose.
I'm just telling you why.
No, yeah. I mean, I get what they're... I mean, there's a lot of things that I feel like they write where...
But it's just like... I mean, drugs are bad, okay? But marijuana, I mean, it's God's gift from the ground. Okay? So what I would say is, like, at the end of the day, if let's say someone's purchasing drugs for their own personal use and it's not being distributed to anyone else. It's just for their own personal use, right? At the end of the day, that's their choice. That's their given right to make that choice for themselves.
Amen.
It's their body, right? Like, these people aren't living in their body. They're not living their day-to-day lives. They're not dealing with their struggles. If people have certain vices and, like, that's the path they're going, then, I mean, that's the path they've chosen, right? Like, we're lucky enough to be within a country with, you know, that gives us the freedom within limitations, I'd say. But we do have that freedom to make choices. And I think at the end of the day, we should be given that right to have that choice. As dark as certain things are, like suicide, you know, or overdosing on drugs, that is a horrible thing. But I think we're all given the power to have strong minds and strong willpower. And it's up to that individual to make those choices for themselves. I mean, obviously, you know, I'm pro marijuana, but I've been, you know, there's been times where I've been offered certain things like cocaine, and I'm proud to say that I've never done it. I don't judge anyone who does do it either. I think that's the same thing with religion. It's your choice at the end of the day, to each his own. I'm not going to, you know, look at you differently or talk to you differently just because you act a certain way, believe in a certain thing, or do something on your own. At the end of the day, I know who you are as a person if you are my friend. And, you know, it's the people you keep close in your circle that would help you get out of those type of dark times and dark situations. So I think that's what it's about too. It's like, you know, if you think about this pandemic, it's really closed us off from the outside world. But at the same time, that could be a choice as well. Because there are ways to communicate with others, gaming online, streaming, hanging out with friends in closed, confined, like healthy areas where everyone is, you know, doesn't have COVID. It's always a choice. And I think it's up to that individual to rise above everything and make that choice for themselves. So.
Yeah, I think all good stuff.
Yeah, that was a really good segment right there.
Yeah.
Actually, that was. I mean, I think that we definitely, like, if we dissected a lot of stuff, we could definitely come up with like a ton more
3
things.
hours straight there.
I know that that's all like stuff that like kind of like hits us like personally. Obviously, like Beef talked about, like he, like, you know, he's done a paper on this stuff before, and he's like made this argument. And I know for Goichi, I know that's a big topic for you. And I think that's definitely something that's like gaining traction in the world today. And I think that's something that's become like part of our lives. It's like part of like the social fabric for right now.
Good job, New York, for passing the law on legalizing marijuana. So I appreciate that. Good job.
It finally did something right in New York.
One state at a time, baby.
Bad job on Joe Biden for firing staffers for using marijuana.
Yeah. Well, he kept one.
Coach, did you have one? Did we give him one?
I think my thing is I think my kind of thing is just kind of overreaching or overarching to like the entire Bill of Rights. Like, is just like my issue that I have is like people willingly asking the government to take away their rights, and doing that, basically applying it to everybody else who doesn't want their rights taken away, like myself. And trying to make people feel awful for not wanting their freedoms and their rights taken away. And it's like, hey, if you want to, I mean, my whole stance on a lot of stuff is, if you want to do something and it's within, you know, the rights, and it's not like illegal, you know, it's not harming somebody else or affecting somebody else negatively, like, go ahead and do it. But don't expect me to conform to what you think is best for you because you think it should be best for me. I'm going to go ahead and do what I want for myself. And it's not necessarily law. I think it's just more of a mindset right now, as of right now, with a lot of people, is just that they think that there's a problem with a lot of things in the system when there's really not, just because they disagree with how it affects them, or they're fine with letting somebody else do something in their life for them. And so therefore they see it as a problem that other people want to live their life and make their own decisions about, you know, just doing anything in life. And so I think that's kind of more my stuff. And for right now, it's not super specific, but you know, I don't know, a lot like crazy stuff I think is going to happen in the rest of 2021. Some wild crap keeps happening every month. We keep having something stupid happen. So I'm sure when we do this segment again at another point, or if we bring stuff to an update, I'm sure I'll have something that's a little bit more specific in terms of how it affects me or what I'm thinking about at that time. So, but I do want to get to our expert and amateur, and not just because apparently because I'm the expert this week,
Big
but
sheriff in town, man.
yeah, but so we're gonna do expert versus amateurs. We want to talk about we want to basically have a subject matter for whoever is for either whoever's hosting or if we got something that's on our minds this week and we know someone is going to be more informed or has more of a standing in a certain subject matter. And we talked about we can talk about stuff where maybe the three of us or two of us in the group here are interested in that, and we're just trying to like get into something, but we have a member of the group that's a little bit more well-rounded, more knowledgeable about something. So like this week for myself, I'm going to be the expert, and we're going to talk about just kind of like training, weightlifting, however you want to top it, you want to call it, working out. It's definitely something like in the industry. It's like for coaches, like for myself, like weightlifting in itself is like a sport. So I don't take it personally when people like see weightlifting and they're like, oh, that's just lifting, or vice versa. But for me, it's interesting that like coaches that do take that personal, like there's people that like are a weightlifting coach, and if you don't call it weightlifting, they just tell you like, get the hell out of my gym. Like I never want to see your face ever again. I'm not that serious about it because I understand what people like are talking about in this realm. But that's no, for me, sad. Like it's what's that?
I was just going to say that's kind of sad because it
really is.
A coach should be an advocate for that sport, and they should be open to educating people who may not know. I mean, that's the same thing with how poker players are. If you're a poker player who just shits on like amateurs all day and just bullies them, they're never going to come back to your sport. And guess what? They're not going to support the sport you love. And I feel like that's the same with weightlifting.
The other cool thing about being a sport is when it's accredited too, you actually get to. I mean, I know that there's like there's schooling what coach you went through, and you got accredited. But a big thing too is like using things like YouTube. Like I work off of a lot of like, I don't watch like no disrespect to any these Instagram or big YouTubers, but when I actually watch a lot of saved videos on YouTube, I'm watching professional athletes like Olympic style lifts, where especially when I'm doing something for the first time, if I don't have anyone like coach, if you're not lifting with me, like I lift pretty regularly, just for the group. Like I do really enjoy it, but I wouldn't say like I'm sure that anyone that comes to the gym with me can tell me, especially if coach came with me, you could tell me my form's off in almost every lift I do. So I wouldn't say I take it that seriously. I think I take it seriously enough where I don't get hurt. Where I don't want to, because I've hurt myself like doing deadlifts and all these crazy ones where it, like coach earlier said sleeping wrong could hurt my back. It's like I remember there's so many times where I tweaked myself and it took like a week for me to heal up on it. So I just wanted to just kind of say that me coming into it, I appreciate the art of that and the sport of it, because without those people, like you're following just all these people on YouTube or on these not really trained people on how to lift. And so when I go to YouTube and it's like I actually find an Olympic lifter or someone that's extremely like they have certifications up the butt, I that means way more to me. And I actually take the time to listen, and so it's been fun watching Coach, because I've known Coach for a long time, and it's been fun to watch him get accredited and watch him work on his craft at what he's doing. Not to kiss your butt, but yeah, I don't know why. I think it's really wrong that people don't. It's kind of an insult, because I think lifting is, I mean, if you do like I think about jerks, cleans, things that like, man, you could really hurt yourself when you're doing it. It's like that's more of a sport than swinging a baseball bat to me. Like I could swing a baseball bat back and forth. I mean, you could hurt yourself doing that, but like even a tennis racket. Like,
I mean, you're talking to a kid who grew up in SoCal, playing hockey, inline roller hockey all his life, and it was never acknowledged as a real sport in any of my schools.
Yeah, there's a lot of that, and especially in high schools. Yeah, like
totally get that, man.
But yeah, I didn't mean to. I wanted to contribute to your.
No, I appreciate it. No, because it's definitely a thing. Like as someone who's in the industry, who's a coach, and like I mean, I had to get certifications. I had to go to school for. I had to work on stuff as in internships. it's one of those things where it's like not everybody feels the same, but it's definitely one of those things where it's like you like family and friends they you know they when you get roped into like another part of the profession that you don't do, like this is just me, but there's nothing wrong with whoever has like whatever certifications they want. But like for me personally, when someone's just like, oh, like what do you do? And I tell them I'm a strength and conditioning coach, or you know, I went to school for this, and they're like, oh, that's like personal training, and I'm like, no, it's I mean, you know, like yes, I write programs for athletes versus like someone's grandma who wants to come in and there's I mean there like I had mentioned like the weightlifting coaches, you know, if you don't call it weightlifting or if you say something by the name they get pissed. Like there are some things that like I take the wrong way as like a coach now.
Mm-hmm.
Like I hate when people use the word tone um for like something, or you know, just like there's a whole bunch of like workout myths and cliche shit to say that people say it, and it's just like it just as someone who's like in your industry, like it rubs you the wrong way. Just like I'm sure I say stuff in somebody else's realm when they hear me say it, and they're like, God, this guy is like so uneducated, or you know, it's like, man, is he purposely trying to piss me off by saying it wrong? But you know, someone who's in it, like I just like my big announcement for everyone is that like this is something that's literally open to everybody. Everybody can do it. Everybody can learn. Everybody's at a different level. It's one thing that I know people are scared because they don't want to go to the gym. They don't want to get embarrassed. They don't want to feel self-conscious about stuff. But it's like you go to a gym and you look at the biggest guy in there. It's like that guy wasn't born 265 solid muscle. Like most, I mean, some of those, a lot of those guys like probably on some sauce, taking steroids anyway. But like those guys worked their ass off to get where they're at, regardless if they're on steroids or not. It's like they didn't come into the gym looking like that before. Like they came in looking terrible at some point, whether they were scrawny, whether they were fat, whether they were round, short, tall, you know, young or old. And so it's like to use a bunch of like different like cliche stuff. It's like Rome wasn't built in a day. You know, you don't get fat in a day. You don't get skinny in a day. There's a quote that I've always stuck with me from school from one of my mentors and one of my professors that I had. He had said something. People ask about like what are the best exercises, and he had said something to us in a class. It's like there's no right or wrong, or there's no good or bad exercises. There's only good or bad interpretation or implementation of an exercise. So, you know, people go to the gym and they work on stuff, and everyone looks at them like, oh, that looks stupid, or you know, that person's doing something that looks dumb or doesn't look like it's really helping them. It's like, you know, they're probably doing it for whatever reason they're doing it, and that's all they need. They just need a reason as to why. You need to answer the why question for you. And it's like when anybody goes to the gym, they just got to answer their own why as to like why they're being there. So like, what's your goal? Work on, you know, do stuff that actually gets to your goal, like correlates to like getting your goal accomplished, you know? You know, I feel like for the most part, the gym is like supposed to be a judgment-free zone. There's assholes there. Let's be honest. I know Beef and I have definitely encountered of late night 24-hour fitness sessions after work, after closing. We'd go and there'd still be some assholes there, even though it was like a little empty. But it's like you run into people, you're just like, I don't get like this person's like reason for being this way. But
a lot of it, I feel like, stems from insecurity.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
You know, because I personally like when I was growing up, I was talking to the LongLiveJunto group all the time about this. But, you know, I got bullied a lot, like a ton, where I was a very, very skinny kid. You know, when I remember I was 100 pounds my freshman year in high school, and 100 pounds, 5'5", easy target, don't speak well. And I remember lifting, like I never worked on like the mental aspect of my, the mental aspect side of things. But I remember like, it's so funny, like I think our society is wrong for this, but I also appreciate what weightlifting and you know, learning weightlifting pretty much because of that, or weightlifting. I would focus on getting bigger and bigger and bigger. And you know, Coach said it earlier about taking stuff. I took a ton of shit when I was in high school and college. I took stuff I didn't even know like what it did, and I cycled
like
it.
Flintstone vitamins.
Yeah, there you go. I love those. But I mean, I used weight to go back to like the whole, jerks is that like now when I go to the gym, because I'm not as big as I once was in college. I've gained a lot of fat, over the time because I sit at a desk all day, and pretty much me is like my goals have changed completely. Where it's like I just want to be able to get some cardio in and kind of work on my muscles a little bit. And you'll run into those people, but I empathize with them now. And I feel like for kids that if you have kids listening or high school or college kids, like what Coach said about when you see the big dude that's 265, strong muscle is like if he's a jerk. He's going through a different kind of hell in his mind because to be able to they're masking that, and I did that. I used my muscles and I never focused on my mental health. So I think the gym's such a good way, a healthy way for people to and this is what I appreciate it. Like I've always been amateur. I don't have any certifications. I've gone with Coach a lot to 24-hour fitness. I just also want to do a Coach has some good workout videos that he's going to be posting on our YouTube channel. You'll see him twice a week. So I wanted to get that out there because he's for anyone that's learning how to do the lifts the right way, especially the sport, like paying homage to the sport. He's got really good instructional videos that there are definitely things that I'm going to be using when I go to some of the workouts I haven't even seen before. So really cool stuff. But I'll finish on this note that. You get those jerks there, and you're like, I think that's what deters a lot of people from going. They see that, and
me.
deters. We had a hand up for a Nightmare on that one.
I just prefer lifting up quarter-pounder burgers and 2-liter
bottles. It's a workout. Get that bicep going. But yeah, I empathize with those guys now. Like, if you go in and you see them, treat them. They're going. If you're in the mindset like you're insecure about your body. Those dudes are still insecure about their bodies, but they're more insecure about what's in their mind. And, and that's not always the case with everyone. Some of them are professional, but the ones that are mean, mean-spirited or you see that everything. I don't know if anyone's ever been snowboarding, but there's a lot of snowboarders that are, I'm sure every sport's got their fair share of...
There's snobs in every hobby and every
every
facet
guns,
of
right?
Guns,
yeah.
Gun snobs
are the worst.
Yeah, that is so true.
Yeah.
I think that's the most intimidating thing for me. Not even the gym. Because I feel like even when I went with you to the gym, like, you can be in your own world, right? In a sense. But, like, guns, I just feel like when you go to a driving range, I feel like people judge you. Especially, like, if they have, like, a good loadout. And they come with, like, all their gear. I don't know. I just feel, and then like they're watching you too. On top of it, I don't know. I just feel like there is a pressure there.
I feel that way about the gym. Like when you go solo, like I used to feel that way all the time. Like especially the way the gyms are. I hate the window or not windows, the mirrors in gyms. Yeah. I'm like, why? I get that it's supposed to, but then it creates all this vein thing, and then you can't ever look around because you look around and you make eye contact with every single person, and you're like, and then like, you know what I mean? I don't know if you guys feel that way, but I hate it. I'm like, I hate that.
I guess.
You happen to turn to a certain area where like some guy's girlfriend is bending over deadlifting, like squatting, and it now looks like his girlfriend's ass, and he's wearing like shorts with like a 1/2 inch inseam on them, and the guy's like, "Bro, you want to fight?" Or it's like, and you're like, no, I just want to get bicep curls in and go home and go get like my nectar, or I want to go drink my protein shake. But
and pray to the Lord Savior Jesus Christ, right after.
Yeah. Or I would just say, I'm here to look at the Gymtown buffet, and I have steak at home, buddy. So just calm down, okay?
I think for me, like as a coach, like it's definitely been something. So, like at like my time through college, like for undergrad and grad school, I've met some people. I've had classes with people that have either like dated gym owners, or they started competing. They started a club at Cal State Fullerton or something like that, and it's just kind of branched out. And then you start getting into like people's social media and stuff. You find out like more pages that are like-minded. You find out more gyms that are opening up. You find out who owns them, and they have connections. But I would say for like kind of like as like a parting like piece of advice for anybody that's like looking to start somewhere, like reach out to those gyms. Like a lot of these like private gyms, whether it's a weightlifting gym or powerlifting gym or both or whatever, like they stay open by having memberships. So like they're not turning people, if they're ever turning people away, it's strictly because of like a capacity thing and not just because you probably are a beginner and like don't know anything. Like they thrive on teaching people. Like they have classes to teach people how to weightlift correctly, how to get better at certain things. And it's designed to garner interest in the sport, and like that's how they stay alive. That's how these people like stay open. That's how they feed their families, is by building a community and building a family through this stuff. So it seems intimidating because it's hard to walk into something and admit that you don't know anything about it, or you don't know how to do it well, and then you have to do that in front of people who are. I mean, there's going to be people that watch you, and it's a very hard thing to do. It's very public. It's very out there in the open, and but I would definitely recommend, and I would I can't stress enough to like reach out to those gyms. If you're in the Orange County area, or if you're in Southern California in general, from LA down to the Mexican border, reach out to Junto. I might have some places or know some places that like you could probably check out that might be a good breeding ground for making some friends and building some new family members and getting that stuff in. But I think it's just important to reach out and like start that stuff. You can't get to where you're going by never starting that, or you can't get to where you want to be by never starting your journey. You got to start somewhere. So the best thing I think to do is just kind of jump in and take it day by day after that. So
yeah, I think. Oh, no, that was it. I was gonna say because I've known, like I said, I've watched Coach go through all of this, and it's like, I guess I'm kind of thinking about it. I never really asked you questions. When we go to the gym, I would kind of get your feel, or especially workouts that I wasn't comfortable with. But going through like college and masters, like when you lift on your own, do you treat it? So you have your job, right, where you're essentially working with athletes, but
right.
when you're working out, like, so after, before 24, it doesn't matter where, your house, doesn't matter where, like, how did you see a change? Because I'll speak for myself as a person that I treat work as work, right? Like, it's like, hey, I log on, I go, very responsible, make sure clients are updated, account managers, like, I treat it like a very certain way. When you lift, when you're doing, like, when I work out though, like, I treat it as like, I guess a hobby, but a means to an end, right? But like I said, when I work out, I don't treat the actual workout. Like if I do a squat, I'm more happy with myself that I got the 10 reps done than I am without carrying out the form. So I guess I always wondered, like, and I saw some, I also saw it in you too when we worked out. But I was just, for the viewers, like, how did that change when you were like going through high school, working out, to like college and learning the right techniques, and then going through your masters, and then now as a strength and conditioning coach, like, where that's your job? How do you, when you're by yourself still, like, do you still treat it as a job when you're working out? Like, I'm just kind of curious.
I'll be honest. There's some stuff that I definitely cheat on, like when I work out on my own. Like there's some things where I'm just like, I tell athletes all the time, like when they do stuff, it's like, hey, like if you're gonna do something, like, do it to its fullest potential. Like, this is such a stupid and easy thing to do, but it's like triceps and biceps, like, it's such accessory work that we do at the end, that because it's just one joint, it's an isolated muscle stuff. But guys, some girls like to do it as well, but guys like to do it, especially for sports like baseball, football. The guys like having a bigger arm, but they just cheat reps, or like cut reps in half, and like they count them. It's like, you want to get a bigger, I try and tell them, it's like, you want to get a bigger effect, you want to have a better result, like, do it this way. And that's like things that I've learned, like, going through. It's like, I try and tell them, like, hey, like, this is probably a better way, like, scientifically speaking, like, looking at like muscle activation and just stuff in general, and like different philosophies of training. It's like, that's probably better. But then, hell, sometimes, like, when I'm going, I'm like, screw it, and I'm just like, I'm doing the same exact half reps because I'm just trying to pump out 50 and get like that pump. But like, I would say for myself, like, it's definitely something I try to do it because I know the benefits outweigh. Most of the time, the benefits always outweigh like what it is. But sometimes I just don't care. when I'm just trying to get a pump on. But yeah, I try and do it because like I know the safety effects of like not squatting properly or not deadlifting properly, and like like today I deadlifted and it's like I couldn't stress enough, like I can't not do it right, or else like tomorrow when I wake up, my back is going to be on fire, and I'm going to be walking all stiff and hunched over. So that's just for me personally on that. But I try to do it as much as possible because I try to practice what I preach for the most part. Nobody's perfect, and I could definitely do a better job. But for the most part, if I tried doing something, if an athlete ever saw me working out in the weight room, then I would hope that they would see, oh yeah, he like does that too because like he said it's better for us, you know. So I try to hold myself to that standard at least. Yeah. Okay. So this is our last segment of the night. I've been thinking about how we're gonna do this here, and I do have an idea. And I'm very curious on what you guys are going to come up with because of this. So Velocipastor.
Oh yeah, man, that slipped my mind.
Velocipastor is an hour and 10-minute movie.
Amazon Prime, baby.
Yeah, is pure what the hell, and like it's just when you think it's like, man, they couldn't do a better job at purposely making a terrible movie. Boy, are you in for a freaking treat! Like they outdo themselves, especially. I'm not going to spoil it too much, but definitely the last like fight scene.
Oh yeah, I can get it.
Yeah, I want to like we got
the plot, the descript, not the plot, but the description in
the Amazon Prime description.
The Amazon Prime description is one of the best things ever. Let me pull this up real quick.
While you're pulling that up, so this is how this is going to go. When after Nightmare reads the description, I want you guys to give a one sentence, I would say no longer than 10 words, like a one sentence review or first reaction based off the movie.
That's good.
So it's like short and sweet, but I want to see how you guys like would describe it in a short sentence.
All right, I can do it right after I read the description.
All right, let's hear the description.
All right, description this is on Amazon Prime. This is what they gave Amazon Prime to tell their potential viewers. After losing his parents, a priest travels to China, where he inherits a mysterious ability that allows him to turn into a dinosaur. At first horrified by his new power, a prostitute convinces him to fight crime and ninjas. It just
the ninjas are actually in the description.
Yes, it says but that's the sentence. There's a period after to fight crime, and then the whole sentence is and ninjas. That's not.
Wow, I'm pretty sure my high school English teacher marked me down a half letter grade for writing some shit like that.
Yeah, I could go off on probably a 45-minute rant, but just about the ninjas in this movie, just how white and not authentic they are.
Yeah.
But if I was gonna give my one sentence review, it would be, this movie is unaware, and then it becomes very aware.
Oh, that's a good. I'd say that's a good description.
Yeah, that's mine. So Goichi, what you got?
Okay, for me,
Goichi's gonna go. All right.
Of course, it's another themed Asian movie with no Asians except maybe one guest Asian there. But yeah, it's the Last Samurai scenario. It's the Dragon Ball Z. It's the Avatar. You know, I'm not bitter about it at all. But anyways, so my one sentence for this would be it's something I don't regret watching with my buddies, but I'll never watch it again.
Oh.
Yeah, and I'll pass it over to Beef now.
Sorry, we said 10 words, right?
Oh. It just
around 10 words. You don't have to be strict to it.
All right.
But the point is for a quick sentence.
Yeah.
What year did it come out? To make sure.
Too soon. 2019.
Best comedy of 2019. Is that too? No, of 2019. With cancel culture existing.
That's
okay. That's good.
I don't know if I need to elaborate on that. I will. But
elaborate on cancel culture.
So I feel like a lot of comedy is dying, where you can't make fun of things anymore.
Uh-huh.
So for me, when Nightmare and I were talking about. We talked about this probably way too much, where we're like, man, those we reference comedies, and it seems like it's getting that was like 90s now and 2000s, and you're like, man, and I'm not saying there aren't good comedies out. But it used to be much more constant, and now it feels like random, and so the cancel culture is kind of ruined it. Where this, going off of what he said about the awareness, and this movie realized the budget sucked and where it was and what they could produce, and they really went into like, I don't know how it wasn't considered a horror comedy. Yeah. Like it was like I had so many good laughs where I felt like it was worth it. So I considered it a comedy.
Yeah. It literally like it was unaware that it was going to be a good bad movie, and then I feel like they saw in full, like when they got to the scenes where they're going to shoot the Velociraptor in full the Velocipastor in full frame, that they realized that, oh, this is going to be really bad. Yeah. And so they just went full blown aware, good bad movie aware.
The build up.
Yeah, just
best CGI, by the way. Best CGI I've ever seen.
There was no CGI. That was all practical effects.
We're about to lose all our viewers by next week, man. Check out that movie, guys.
We went up one.
My take on this movie. I've been trying to think. I think if anybody goes back and watches our review or our live stream of watching this, you might. I don't know if I yelled it or I screamed it when it happened, but I certainly thought it. So my review would be. I think I can probably keep it to 2 or 3 words here, but Hunchback Velocipastor.
Oh yeah,
because at the God, seriously, that last fight scene really, really got me because like I lost my absolute shit. Like just watching that last fight like sequence was like I might have to go back and just watch it just for pure comedy's sake, just to make me laugh again because. Yeah. It was like Hunchback and Notre Dame meets Jurassic Park.
So you know that T-Rex suit that's like super viral and like TikToks and everything.
Oh yeah, the inflatable
like,
that would have been
like
better.
That
that was more realistic.
That costume is more realistic and better than the one that was in this movie. Like
they literally could have put Barney in there, and it would have been more believable.
Well, like I showed my wife that first scene where one of the first scenes where I still think. You totally forget about it, but it's like it sets a tone of the movie is where his parents blow up, and it says like VSX. Oh yeah, spoiler alert. Sorry. Yeah. VSX explosion, and I showed my wife that, and I was like, I don't even think we needed to keep going, but man, I thought about that, and I was like, man, that set a tone like the rest of the movie for sure.
We knew what we were in for after that point.
Yeah. You imagine this car burning. We're not gonna put it in there. Yeah. You can imagine what's happening right now.
Dude, respect to them, honestly, for making a bad movie, but like understanding how to keep people's attention.
Yeah, they did. Yeah, they kept.
It's freaking amazing, dude.
Because I really loved the and again, spoiler alert, the character arc where his brother is, or it's almost like an arc where his brother is like is neglected. Yeah, I think that is. Well, it's like he's like in the car and they're all hugging, and he's just like his head just like pops up.
You're my only son.
And he's like standing in the doorway. He's like right next to the kitchen table, but it's like oh yeah, I forgot I had a brother.
When his dad is like, "You're my only son."
Yeah.
He's in the back seat like, "Aww."
They kind of like kept it fourth wall in a way with or not, maybe it's not fourth wall, but that was like an Uncle Ben. You said it when we were watching it.
Oh yeah.
But it was like an Uncle Ben moment, and they were totally playing off of that. And dude,
with like the white background.
Yeah.
They knew exactly what they were doing though. I mean, kudos to them because they knew exactly what they were doing when they did that, and I think that just actually makes the movie better. But yeah, definitely it's definitely one of those things where it's like I probably won't be rushing back to watch Velocipastor. If I had an hour and 10 minutes to do something, I think there's some other movies I'd probably go back and watch first. But I definitely would recommend if you want a good laugh and you just kind of want to let go and not have to really follow a storyline all that far, because dear Lord knows they keep reminding you of everything every time the ninjas come. But
good movie night with family.
And we're using that
Yeah.
word ninjas very
Yeah.
loosely.
Yeah, no, as in like ninjas, as in like this is like Beverly Hills, like the white ninja
Yeah.
Remember,
for everybody.
remember the people, the ninjas that were training, and they were just like,
Yeah.
but they would add the sound effect that.
Yeah.
There's like that one guy just standing there the whole time too. Yeah.
Yeah.
I felt like what interests me after you guys, if you know, for our viewers, if you watch it, was what was crazy is how much you could really go into a binge on this, because there was all these like stupid named ones where
were referenced.
it's like when they named it or came up with they're like, we need something so ridiculous, but then so like where it piques interest. It's real, you know, there's a fine line of like, this is such a dumb, like there was one I think where it was like a microwave that ate people, and it's like
There's a sofa that ate people.
yeah, or sofa and ate people, and it's like I was like, damn, that like I just saw the picture, the and I was like, that thumbnail.
I can read the others.
Pretty much all those categories that fall under the movie, you know, Velocipastor. It's pretty much, it could be a segment of like, okay, what can you guess what drugs the director and the writers were on when they made this movie?
Yeah,
like that's how ridiculous it is.
So literally, I'm looking at the Prime right now, Amazon Prime right now, and the customers also watched that. That's what we were looking at.
Oh yeah.
So first one, Lamageddon.
Okay,
Yeah.
that was
watch
an
that.
interesting one.
Yeah.
It's a pinata.
Yeah. Oh, that's on there. Killer Pinata.
Oh, that's a different one.
That's a different one.
Okay.
Yeah. And then the next one, Jesus Christ, Vampire Hunter.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
That's
Yep.
like
And then
that's money.
and then Killer Sofa.
Killer sofa.
And then let's see the last one.
Dude, that would be paranoid sofas.
Clown NATO.
Oh yeah.
Clown
Dude,
NATO.
Clown
That's
NATO.
interesting. That's got
That's
a
not
really
as funny as it
interesting
sounds.
story timeline.
But the pic of the clowns was like, and clowns are already a little disturbing. So like, to be in a
telling me.
tornado, and then I imagine like that's the last thing I see is like a bunch of clowns like
Falling from the sky.
yeah.
Dude.
Like,
I mean, I swear, if we get one of those here in the Midwest, you guys will see me in the next within the next 24 hours, I'll be hauling ass in my Honda CRV back home and getting away from that, okay?
Oh man.
But,
That is
well, boys, I think this is going to be the conclusion of another good week, another good set of conversation with you guys. I mean, like I said at the start, I can't stress enough how much I enjoy being to hop on here with you guys and talk with you guys, not only through the week, like as we prepare for this stuff and we talk about things and we suggest things, but get on here, get to see you guys, because being out here in the Midwest and without anybody, you know, remotely close, I do miss getting to see you guys in person, and hopefully in the near future, in the next couple months, we'll be able to do some more podcasts in person once summertime comes, if things work out. So
sounds good to me.
Virtual hug.
absolutely.
Yeah, virtual
boys.
hugs.
virtual kiss.
Until next week, where we'll have our next podcast on Friday, I believe. I hope you guys have a great, safe weekend. I hope you guys' travels are safe. You guys have a fun time getting away and just getting out of town. And we'll reconvene, and I'll see you boys in about a week, all right?